Hey guys, Marsingen here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. And so I put out this tweet last night. Well, I mean, you can see my time. It was like 3:30 a.m. I was working a night shift, so it's almost 3 p.m. So it's been up for about 12 hours. I wanted to get a little bit of feedback about the anniversary. Obviously, this has been a hotly debated topic on the timeline. We talked about it on the most recent 5-9 podcast, which I think has been recorded, but probably actually isn't out yet. But a lot of people have been comparing the anniversaries, as they always do, right? People always talk about, you know, was this celebration the new best celebration in the game, all that kind of stuff. And so I thought I would do two separate videos to kind of break this down. And I could have done them in the reverse order, but I thought it would be more interesting to do it this way. So I reached out to ask you guys who follow me on Twitter. If you don't, you should, at the Marsningen. I'm super active there. It's one of the most likely places that you'll be able to contact me, rather than like, aside from commenting on one of the videos, because I still read all the comments. If you want me to see like screenshots of runs or your opinions on units and stuff like that, Twitter is the place where I am the most active. So I reached out and asked you guys, now that the anniversary is basically over, because there's been no announcement of an EX part. Super 17 literally drops tomorrow, so the anniversary essentially is done and dusted now. And so I wanted to know whether you guys enjoyed the 7th anniversary or the 8th anniversary more, and why. And then obviously for global players, the question is, are you more hyped for the 8th anniversary? Because obviously we have to wait until July. Are you more hyped for the 8th anniversary to come than you were after the 7th anniversary had finished and then we were having to wait for that to come? Because whilst I didn't put it in this post, I will start off by saying I personally feel like after the 7th anniversary wrapped up on JP last year, I was more excited for that to come to Global than I am currently for the 8th anniversary to come to Global. So I asked you guys to let me know what you think, and also to let me know some reasons why. And we're going to go down and have a look. And then the other video that I was talking about, I want to do an actual side-by-side comparison where we look at everything from both the celebrations and actually stack them up to see just how similar or how different they were. But I thought it'd be interesting to do this video first, because then this gives an idea of like the public perception. Because it would be very interesting, for example, if we saw a ton of comments saying, you know, I liked this one over the other one because I feel like it had more content. And then when we do the actual side-by-side comparison, that turns out to not be the case. I thought that would be quite interesting. So we're going to do the community reaction first, and then we'll do like the proper breakdown video, potentially even tomorrow. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump in. I'm going to scroll down as much as possible. I don't want the video to be too long, so I will try and get all of the comments in here. If I don't get to your comment, if you did leave one, or if obviously you don't use Twitter, or you just didn't see this tweet, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below as well. So somebody said they liked the 8th anniversary more. Now, unfortunately, this happens a lot with these community posts where I do ask you guys to give the reasons why, because it kind of makes it a bit more interesting for a video like this. Unfortunately, they did not provide that information, even though I posted a screenshot of the part where I said why at the end. But we've already got one for the 8th anniversary. So Giorgio says the 7th anniversary was basically a soft reboot of the game. The 8th anniversary is great, but the 7th anniversary will always be way more important for the game's history. Now, not necessarily saying I agree with the last part, but I agree with the overall sort of thing that they're going for here, because when they say basically a soft reboot of the game, they are basically talking about how the red zone just completely changed like the difficulty level for content, and of course 200% leader skills became a thing, which we saw, you know, myself included, a bunch of people did 200% leader skill showcases even for older units that were now getting that leader skill, and some of them got a marked improvement. And then obviously the red zone was like the new benchmark for difficulty. A lot of people didn't like that because it made like, you know, 80 to 90% of your box unusable. Like certain units that, you know, you still might have been having fun using like 2 or 3 months ago, you just could not use them in the red zone, realistically. Even units like Tech Gogeta against some of the tougher bosses, like the Scouter effect was good, but he just was not good enough defensively. Very interesting time. So I can see what they're essentially saying here is that the 7th anniversary meta shift had a much bigger impact on the game than the 8th anniversary, where there hasn't really been that much more like power creep. So we also have someone else here saying the 7th, they set the bar too high. Maybe I was just expecting too much. The power creep was so massive, thinking I was just going to waltz into the new events and destroy them. Yeah, exactly. Red Zone definitely like humbled a lot of people, right, with how difficult it was. So Vegeta with a chicken, I don't know. Love the 7-year in terms of content, but like the 8-year in terms of units and kits. Besides Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, both are top tier gacha anniversaries though. And I didn't get shafted, I got them. Okay, nice. Yeah, so the units and kits, I know a lot of people liked these Part 2 LRs more than they did the Part 2 LRs from last year. People obviously have always wanted a lot of Saiyan Saga representation, but people weren't super thrilled about Great 8 Vegeta. And Kaioken Goku was pretty good. I think it was one of the hardest hitting units that came out at the time. But he aged rather quickly, so there you go. Then we have JP Player here. I enjoyed the 8th anniversary more, but it's close. The main reasoning being the Blue Fusions EZA. They're one of my favourite releases ever, and I'm so happy to see them on top again. So this is something that I have talked about before. I made a tweet about it, which Truth commented on, so of course it got way more traffic than usual, and a bunch of people didn't quite understand what I meant by the tweet, where essentially I was saying that I don't think EZAs alone make a celebration good. And the whole reason why I said that is kind of in line with this comment. Now, I'm not suggesting that this person is doing the same thing, but there were people that were saying that the 8th anniversary was just straight up, bad, not good. And then when they announced the 5-year EZAs, I saw some of those same people then saying, oh my god, this is the best celebration ever. And to me, I don't see, even if an EZA is really good and it's for a unit that you really like, if you thought the whole of the rest of the celebration was bad, I'm not sure how dropping an EZA that you like then makes that celebration good overall. It's still the same celebration, it just had a good EZA in it. So EZAs are a factor, of course, especially when we're comparing the celebrations side by side, but I don't think a good EZA is the be-all and end-all of a celebration. Now, that being said, it definitely does contribute to the hype, and a lot of people are in this same boat where, you know, the 5-year EZAs, especially being as good as they are, was very exciting for a lot of people, because I think in terms of anniversary units, apart from maybe Blue Evolution Vegeta in the 6th year, I don't know, the 5 years just dropped off of being like, oh my god, they're the best units in the game, so quickly compared to other anniversaries. And it almost became they weren't unrunnable, I think largely because of that dodge in slot 3 mechanic, but they became basically not really ran or talked about by anyone very, very quickly. So people that were hyped about those units, because they obviously were very cool when they first came out, obviously a lot of people were excited that they are now not only meta relevant again, but they are actually very, very good. So I know the 5-year EZAs was a big selling point for a lot of people on this anniversary, and I would not be surprised if there are multiple global players that is the thing they are most looking forward to for when it comes to global. So 8th anniversary because of them. I mean, the actual Part 1 LRs, I think they are awesome. This is obviously the Super Saiyan 3 Goku, Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta. Their animations, all of them are fantastic. I prefer this unit to the GT one in terms of aesthetics. I love Super Saiyan 3 and Super Saiyan 2 as forms. I think the card is super cool. I think the animations are super good. Kit-wise, I do think the GT one is better, but I do really, really like this card, so I definitely am looking forward to summoning for them when it comes to Global. Global main, I dipped in on my JP account, and while I'm hyped for the 8th anniversary overall, not as much as I was for the 7th, especially when considering what Global gets after the anniversary and possibly in the lead up to it. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Worldwide Celebration has a tendency to overshadow the anniversary a little bit for Global. Now, obviously, the 7th anniversary last year, especially because of the introduction of 200% leads, it was super hype, but Global had already had, was it 3 or 4 200% leaders come out before we got the anniversary. So the leader skills weren't the most hype part, but obviously the Gods and the Super Saiyan 4s were very, very hype units. I still enjoy using both of them to this day, so people were obviously very hyped about them. And then, of course, the Worldwide Celebration happened, and, you know, a lot of people, especially if you're more offensively based in terms of how you like to play the game, Cooler came out, and then immediately all the hype was about Cooler And it's kind of sad for Global that that happens a month after the anniversary. So I do kind of see where they're going with this, because obviously we'll have no idea on Global what the worldwide celebration is going to be when the anniversary comes to Global, because it's a both versions at the same time celebration. But it's very possible that they drop units during the worldwide that just overshadow the hype of the Part 1 LRs. And the Part 2 LRs, I feel like they had a very mixed reception, so it is a weird spot being a Global player. Less hyped than the 7th, but it's the Annie, so still going to be hyped. I mean, that is true, right? Even if the anniversary, even if we say, just as a flat-out thing, that the 7th anniversary is better than the 8th anniversary, that doesn't mean the 8th anniversary wasn't cool, wasn't hype, didn't have some, like, fun stuff in it. I remember saying the same thing last year, where you guys know I'm a huge advocate for the game syncing up. After the anniversary, when we had to wait, like, 6 months after it finished on JP, after the first, like, month or two, where I'd already seen, you know, everyone on JP's using all the anniversary LRs in all these new events, and you're seeing them get used 100 times by, like, Truth, Minato, all those guys. The hype started to wear off a little bit for me. But then when we got to, like, the countdown, like, you know, a week or two before the anniversary actually starting, I did feel like a lot of that hype came back. So the anniversary is always going to be hype, right? And I know a lot of people are excited for the units, but I feel bad for Global, because by the time we get the 8th anniversary, the units will be outdated or power crept on JP. I don't think so, because we haven't really seen a meta change since the release of the Red Zone. Like, there's nothing that's out on JP now that would not be able to be beaten by Global players, even without the 8th anniversary LRs. Obviously, it depends on the level of your box, but if they released that Shadow Dragon event and the 8th anniversary special battle event just randomly now on Global, but without releasing any of the 8th anniversary units, I guarantee that me and other people with high-level boxes would be able to beat those events. So the chances are we're not going to get any form of, like, really difficult new event until potentially the worldwide celebration. So I think it's very unlikely that the anniversary units get power crept by the time the anniversary comes to Global. Now, what could happen is they could get power crept by the worldwide celebration, which then, as we said, being like a month after the anniversary on Global, that would be a kind of feels bad moment for Global players. But fortunately, I don't think they will be power crept. I play both. I can say I prefer the 8th year. Red Zone is cool and all, but in pretty much every other way, I prefer the 8th year. New units were more balanced. EZAs are going to age way better, and the free-to-play units are actually usable this time. Yeah, that last part is a very good point. Like, the Trunks, Goten, and Gohan card, like the free LR from last year, like, the concept was cool, like the design, the art and everything, but the card was just bad, right? No one ever uses them anymore. The Bulma and Vegeta were bad. Goku and Chi-Chi, you can get away with using them because most of their defense is based on dodge, and then they have the Pycon, like, Ghost Usher effect. So you kind of can get away with using them, but it's very RNG based. Whereas obviously Hercule can be usable, and then the Barbady/Martian Vegeta card is pretty cool, even though it is a bit disappointing that they used the Martian Vegeta super cool art and animations for, like, a standby for a free-to-play unit, but there you go. As a Global player, I'm less hyped, just because I love Gogeta, and a double Gogeta anniversary was nuts for me. Yeah, rip Vegito fans. I doubt any anniversary surpasses the 7th in my books. The hypest thing about the 8th anniversary for me are the EZAs for some characters that I really like. I'm assuming he means Blue Gogeta, probably. But yeah, the anniversary LRs for this year were pretty good. Physical Super Vegito, I think he's overhated, but I don't think he's very good. He's probably the lower tier. Spirit Bomb absorbed Goku, I think he gets underrated as well. He could be a good floating unit. But obviously STR Super Buu, especially if you transform into Buuhan, Blue Kaioken, and then obviously the 5-year Blue Fusions are all very, very good. So JP player, I like the 8th anniversary more. The units for me were way more hype. Kai Goku is the most fun I've had with a unit in a very long time. Like I said, I haven't seen a lot of people getting super gassed up about the Part 2 LRs, so that's pretty cool. The EZAs were extremely hype and are so fun to use. Blue Goku and the 5-year Fusions. Wish we got something as hard as a Red Zone though. Yeah, that is the one thing. Now for me on my JP account, you guys know I'm making content on the JP side now. My JP box is obviously nowhere near as good as my Global. A lot of my units, even though I do have a lot of the newer units, I pulled all 4 of the anniversary LRs, but they're all at 55%. and I was still able to beat all the stages of the Shadow Dragon event fairly easily. The only thing I've struggled with is the 8th anniversary battle, the actual stage 8 against the 8th anniversary units. It did actually take me quite a few attempts to be able to beat it, and I've actually still not been able to do the mission to beat it within a certain number of turns based on how weak my box is, but I have actually cleared the event. So comparing the 8th anniversary event's difficulty compared to the release of the Red Zone, they're just, you know, they're just far and away not even close. Shout out to Joe Global. I was more hyped during the 7th. 8th was good, but it didn't have the same level of hype. Also, no EX part made it a little lackluster at the end. Now, I kind of agree with this sentiment because the 7th anniversary, we got the EX part, took people by surprise, announced the LR Super Saiyan 4's Easy A that I don't think anyone really saw coming. After we got the 3-year Easy A's, I don't think many people would have realistically expected they were going to do the 4 years as well. So that was kind of cool. But it did set the expectation that most people assumed we were going to get an EX part this year as well. And that seems to not be the case, which is a little bit unfortunate. However, I will say the 8th anniversary battle event, I do like that. I think it's good. It was challenging for me with my less powerful box. We'll see how that stacks up when it actually comes to global. But it had good rewards. It was a decently fun event. But yeah, difficulty-wise, it does not compare to the Red Zone. Besides the Easy Ace for the Blue Fusions, I was definitely more excited for the 7th anniversary coming to global than I am for, I'm assuming they meant to say 8th anniversary this year. I think a lot of people have that mindset. If you are a global player, obviously let me know down below. 7th due to the headline units and a massive shift in content. Still pretty excited for the 8th because of the insane banner value and the idea behind it. Yeah, the Spirit Bomb theme is cool, and the part 2, having units based on the intros, I think is a cool concept. I just think for some reason a lot of people really were not that hyped about the part 2 LRs. Maybe part of that is because a lot of people really wanted Omega and Kid Buu and we didn't get it, but I do think both the part 2 LRs are very good. So as a global player, I'm looking forward to it. The new LRs are pretty damn good. And I'm excited to Easy A the Blue Fusions. I'm worried about how many stones I have for the 8th anniversary. So this person basically just saying they're excited for the 8th anniversary. They didn't really answer the question about whether they think it's better than the 7th. But I like to see that, right? Like, as a global player, it sucks that we have to wait 6 months. So hopefully people are still excited. Like I say, I think the units are good. I only summoned to get 1 copy on my JP just so I could make content. But on global, that's where I will be like wailing out to get dupes. And I am very excited to try out both the anniversary LRs with dupes and then on some of their more optimal teams. Because that's the other thing with my box on JP. I can't make like the best versions of their teams because I am missing some of the units. So less hype for the 8th year. Super Saiyan God is my favourite form in all of Dragon Ball. That's the main reason. And that's fair enough, right? There was a lot of God stuff in the 7th, not just the LRs, but like God Goku getting his Easy A and still being one of the most relevant units in the game when it comes to movie bosses or Pure Saiyan based events. So that's pretty fair. I like the 8th anniversary more. I'm glad they didn't go with the download celebration treatment with the split banners. I love the new standby skill and how much it opens for new cards and ideas. The only thing I disliked about it is it didn't have the EX part. Yeah, we've kind of said that already. I can see why people would be disappointed. Now, it's an interesting take. You guys will have to let me know what you think. I personally, now it could just be because I'm a whale, right? But I prefer the worldwide celebration, like the split Carnival and Dokkan Fest banners. It makes each banner feel more valuable because the anniversary and even the worldwide celebration for a long time kind of had this meme of like the part 1 units were the only ones that were worth summoning for, and the part 2s weren't really anything that special. So by splitting them between the 2 parts, it made them a little bit more relevant. Now obviously I can understand that made it tricky. Like if you really liked both of the part 1 units, you still kind of had to be wary because part 2 was still going to have a Dokkan Fest LR that could essentially have been the new best unit in the game. But I do like the variety, right? Because a lot of the time, if you were not interested in the part 2 LRs at all with the old system, then it kind of made part 2 of a celebration like that seem a bit dead. So I do like that, but I can understand people that don't. I do think with the way they split the theme, it would have been very weird to have the banners split that way for the anniversary. Because like imagine having Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta as one banner, and then the other banner is like the Carnival Kid Goku. And they have no real like cohesion whatsoever. And then in part 2, it's the GT Goku and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, and then the Kai intro Goku. It just seems really weird to have them like that. Whereas obviously the cooler celebration they did it very well, where both the part 1s were the first Cooler movie, and then the part 2 were the second Cooler movie, and it's just one was a Dokkan Fest and one was a Carnival LR. So I guess that's something that is very much just down to personal preference, but yeah, I like the 7th anniversary more. Doesn't have to do with the content in the game, just purely on Dokkan. Will more than likely never replicate the reaction I had seeing Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta's active skill for the first time. Yeah, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta's active skill, still one of my favourite animations in the game. Very, very cool. 7th is still better in my opinion just because of Red Zone. The GT stuff wasn't fun until Omega. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people had that same like impression, right? Where the first bunch of stages that released were just way too easy. Now, admittedly, when the Red Zone came out, the first couple of stages were super easy, unless you're Mr. Baby, obviously. But then we got to, was it like stage 4 and 5 and onwards, where it started to become a little bit more difficult? Whereas even for me, with my limited box on JP, like, I did not find any of the stages that difficult. Even the final stage against, is it Omega or is it Sin? I thought it was just Sin in the last stage. But even the last stage against Sin, it took me like 2 or 3 attempts to beat that event. And that was with a mostly Power of Wishes team, which, as far as I'm aware, he does extra damage to. And I still didn't find it that difficult. And like I say, my anniversary LRs were only 55%. So yeah, difficulty-wise, it just was not even close, in my opinion. Global main started JP for the anniversary. A lot of people do that. Overall, I'm less hyped for the 8th anniversary to come to Global. More excited for some of the events and all the banner units on the banners. Yeah, that's the thing. I know a lot of people are excited about the units themselves. But as I said earlier, that the units alone do not make the celebration, right? It's a lot about the content. So I've seen a lot of people, even people who prefer the units from the 8th anniversary, I'm seeing a lot of people saying they preferred the content for the 7th anniversary. And then, yeah, Sin makes a very good point. This is kind of what I was saying before. The EX part, they announced the LR Super Saiyan 4 EZAs, which nobody expected. Everybody was super hype. They made the LR Super Saiyan 4's team like complete when those EZAs came out. And then, unfortunately, they did kind of age, not, you know, badly. But the hype was massive when that got announced. So 8th anniversary, because the content felt way more spread out and the EZAs were better than last year. I do think the spread of the content was a little bit better. I can agree with that. And then Simon says, for me, the 7th is better because the characters were more hype, the events were better. The 8th anniversary is still good, but the events let it down, wanted Red Zone stages or something else on that level. So I'm going to leave it there for the comments. The video's getting quite long. Like I said, if I didn't get to a comment that you made, or you just didn't see this tweet before I made the video, feel free to let me know down below in the comment section. But the general consensus, it's kind of split. But from what I'm seeing, even people who prefer the 8th year, a lot of it is down to the character choices and like the EZAs, as opposed to the content. So it does seem like the general consensus is the 7th anniversary was better for content, but a lot of people are split, essentially, whether they liked the 7th anniversary units and EZAs more or the 8th anniversary. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Like I say, with the whole point of the original tweet, if you're on JP, which of the anniversaries did you enjoy more? If you're on Global, do you feel more hyped for the 8th anniversary to come in July than you did last year, or less hyped? Let me know down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.